All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a book that's going to totally change how you think about wealth. Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money. We're going to find out why your habits, not your IQ, are actually the biggest predictor of your financial success. So let me ask you something. What's the single most important factor for building wealth? You'd think it's about being a genius, right? Or having some fancy finance degree. Well, according to this book, the answer is probably gonna surprise you, because it kind of turns everything we think we know on its head. See, this is the big mistake most of us make. We're taught that finance is this hard science, all about complex strategies and spreadsheets. But what Morgan Housel says is, nope, it's actually a soft skill. What really matters are things like your patience, your humility, your behavior. And those are way more powerful than any complex formula you can find in a textbook. And that's really the heart of the whole book. Managing money isn't a math problem. It's a human behavior problem. And to really get our heads around that, we've got to bust a few big myths that hold most of us back. All right, first up, let's talk about the myth of the genius investor. This idea that to get really rich, you have to be some kind of wizard, making these brilliant moves and getting insane returns year after year. But the reality? It's something else entirely. And to show you why, let's compare two absolute titans of the investing world. You've got Warren Buffett, the legend himself, who started investing when he was just a kid, like 10 years old. And then you've got Jim Simons, this brilliant mathematician, a code breaker, who built one of the most successful hedge funds ever. Okay, so get this. Jim Simons is a certified genius. Since 1988, his fund has cranked out an average annual return of a staggering 66%. I mean, based on the numbers, he is, without a doubt, the greatest investor who has ever lived, period. And yet, somehow, Warren Buffett is worth way more. Buffett's average returns? They're not even close to what Simons was pulling in. So, what gives? How is that even possible? It just doesn't add up, does it? The guy with the lower annual returns ends up with way more money. So what's the secret sauce here? What explains this? The answer comes down to one simple but incredibly powerful word: compounding. See, Buffett's secret weapon wasn't some off-the-charts genius, it was time. He's been investing consistently since he was a kid. His massive fortune is the result of pretty good returns, just left alone to grow for a really, really long time. Simons was arguably the better investor for sure, but he started way later. He just didn't give that magic of compounding as much runway to do its thing. Okay, so let's tackle the next myth. And this one is all about how we perceive wealth, or maybe more importantly, how we don't. This is a huge mental shift, so stick with me here. Man, I love this quote. It just nails a fundamental truth about us. You see someone driving a flashy car, and your first thought isn't, wow, that person is so cool. Nope, your thought is, wow, if I had that car, people would think I'm cool. We're just seeing the spending, and that's not wealth. Right, because true wealth is invisible. It's the fancy car that didn't get bought. It's the expensive watch left in the store. It's all the money that was saved and invested instead of being spent on stuff. Wealth is financial assets that haven't been converted into the stuff you see. And that brings us to the real point of having that hidden wealth. Listen, the greatest thing your money can buy isn't a bigger house or a faster car. It's control over your own time. Having savings gives you options. It gives you flexibility. It's the freedom to wake up one morning and say, you know what? I can do whatever I want today. Now that is the real return on your savings. Okay, this brings us to our final myth for today. And it's the idea that every single financial move you make has to be perfectly cold, calculated, and logical. In other words, 100% rational. I love this. The book draws this brilliant line between being rational and being reasonable. So a rational decision? That's the one that's mathematically perfect on a spreadsheet. But it might be emotionally impossible to stick with when things get scary. A reasonable decision, though, is one that you can actually live with. It's one that lets you sleep at night. Look, at the end of the day, we're people. We're not spreadsheets. We're driven by emotion, by the need to feel secure, to sleep well, and to avoid feeling like we made a huge mistake later on. That perfect financial plan is totally useless if you're just going to freak out and sell everything at the bottom of a market crash. So the best strategy isn't the most optimal one. It's the one you can actually stick with for the long haul. So let's put this all together. What we have now is a totally new way to think about money. Financial success isn't about being a math whiz. It's about mastering a few simple behaviors. And the good news is, anyone can learn them. It really just comes down to these 3 key ideas. First, play the long game. Be patient. Let that miracle of compounding do all the heavy lifting for you. Second, prioritize saving. But remember why you're saving. The real prize isn't buying more stuff down the road. It's buying your freedom and controlling your time right now. And finally, number 3, stop trying to be perfectly rational. Just aim to be reasonable. Pick a strategy that you can actually live with, one that fits your own personality. And all of this really leads to one simple but super profound question that the book leaves us with. It forces you to ask yourself, what is money actually for in your life? Is your money buying you a better life? A life with more freedom, more options, more control? Or is it just buying you more stuff? And honestly, the answer you come up with, that changes everything.